supposed to work, which is why the organization Common Cause has launched a lawsuit arguing that the filibuster is unconstitutional. Joining me now is one of the plaintiffs in that lawsuit, Minnesota Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison. Thank you for being here, Congressman.
Yeah, pleased to be here. Thank you.
Congressman, why did you sign on to the lawsuit challenging the Constitution of the filibuster? You are in the House of Representatives, obviously, not the Senate. So what is your role here?
I signed on because I wanted to see democracy work. And when I voted on the Disclose Act and I voted on the DREAM Act, the majority will was frustrated by this ridiculous filibuster rule. I mean, these two items should be the law of the land, but they're not because of the filibuster rule. There are literally kids walking around who would have benefited from the DREAM Act, worried about their future because a minority was able to use some trickeration to just stymie the will of the majority.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the Disclose Act, which reversed some of what Citizens United did, creating disclosure of spending in super PACs, and the DREAM Act, which would have helped some children of illegal immigrants get citizenship if they went to school, join the Army, etc. They both had majority votes in the Senate. They just got filibustered to death once they got there, right?
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, it's really kind of amazing because, by defeating the Disclose Act, the very groups that I believe are behind these senators who want, we now don't get to know who they are as they funnel massive sums of money. So we got private money, we got a minority ruling the Senate, and we got compounded problems. Let's start by getting rid of these crazy Senate rules.
Now, the Constitution says that the House and Senate, Congress, have the right to make their own rules. Doesn't that say pretty clear? And senators have over and over again not repealed the filibuster. They have not gone underneath it. They've ratified it at different times. So doesn't that say pretty clearly it's constitutional? The Senate has chosen to have a filibuster, and it is up to them to do so?
No, I don't agree with that. I think that it's not constitutional. In fact, it was contemplated and rejected. Now, the fact that they have fallen into a bad practice because it increases the power of each individual there doesn't mean that it's constitutional. And the fact of the matter is, too, that, I want to test whether it's constitutional, but maybe this lawsuit will help prod the Senate into acting and correcting its own business, something that it has not been able to do short of a lawsuit, which is why I joined this lawsuit, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Now, some senators, notably Tom Harkin and Jeff Merkley and Tom Udall and Michael Bennet and a couple others, have been trying to reform the filibuster. And something really, I thought, remarkable happened about a week ago when, after a set of attempted filibusters by the Republicans, Harry Reid, Majority Leader Harry Reid, went to the floor of the Senate and he apologized to them. He said, "I was wrong to fight your efforts to reform the filibuster. The filibuster has been abused and it should be reformed." Do you think that implies that Majority Leader Reid and the Democrats in the Senate are actually going to reform the filibuster? Maybe the court case isn't necessary at this point?
I think the court case is absolutely necessary because I don't trust them. If you don't put the heat on them, they're not going to change it. Now, I do think there's a lot of great senators who really want reform. Among those, Udall, Harkin, and there are many more than that. But at the end of the day, they have not been able to move things forward, even though several of them do want the change. So I think a lawsuit, an external force, is what is needed in this situation, even if that's just to prod them to do the right thing. I don't think that removing this lawsuit is going to be the trick. We need to have the lawsuit move forward, see this thing litigated in court if necessary. But if they fix it, they can make everything moot.
Now, the key difference between the House and the Senate, of course, is proportionality. The number of people who, that Montana doesn't get as many congressmen as California does, although it does get as many senators. Now, I was sort of stunned by these numbers that are in the lawsuit. At the time of the country's founding, 7 of the 13 states, representing 27% of the population, could muster the majority in the Senate to command action. Today, using the filibuster, 21 of the 50 states, representing 11% of the population, 11%, can muster the 41 votes necessary to stop a majority in the Senate. Now, I'm a Californian. We are arguably the most disadvantaged of the current rules. But doesn't that seem unfair? Doesn't that seem like we've gone too far towards disadvantaging the large states?
I think it's gone too far. As a matter of fact, I think that when you look at the fact that each state, no matter what their population, has 2 senators, the fact that we have these crazy filibuster rules, I mean, you are compounding advantage on the minority in a way that the founders never imagined and runs contrary to the democratic spirit of our country. And so I think that it is high time to bring this to a close. Let the will of the people emerge. Let's have some real democracy in the United States Senate. They like to call themselves a great deliberative body. I think they've strayed from that, and I think there are members of the Senate who would be pretty happy to be able to return to real democracy in the Senate.
Minnesota Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks.